Welcome to this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule, presented by Taylor Industries. I'm your host, Jason Ketz, and sitting alongside here with Mule's place kicker, Jordan McFarlen. Jordan, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and let's go ahead and get going with the faith side of things here, and just kind of talk about how you came to your relationship with Christ.
Well, I've grown up in a Christian home. My parents took me to church pretty much every Sunday. About until like 7th grade is when I really started taking it as my own. I went through confirmation through the Methodist Church and was baptized in 7th grade, and then from then I just kind of made Jesus a real part of my life.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's definitely, from everybody that we've talked to, it really does seem like it all starts with the family side of things, and how your family gets involved, with church service and everything, and were your parents definitely a big influence in your life as far as with your faith?
Oh yeah, they definitely they showed me what it meant to be a Christian and to walk with Jesus and stuff. And by taking me to church, I might not have paid attention in every single service, but it definitely had an impact on me.
Now, and I know we're here in college and everything, and being a student athlete, your schedule is always hectic. How are you able to balance between your faith practices and then also, going to practice every day in the fall and in the summer and doing all the workouts and stuff you guys have to do with football?
Well, I make sure to be disciplined with my schedule and everything. I spend most of my evenings, I go straight from practice typically and then straight into ministry stuff with either through the BSU or with FCA. And it's just, being self-disciplined and all those things is important to have a schedule that I follow.
And certainly in a sport like football where it's so contact-based and there's so much physicality, how does your spiritual life affect the way you perform on the football field?
Well, for me, it's not that physical. But I don't know, I think that sometimes workouts and stuff get pretty tough, and so I just really focus on the real goal and what I'm doing all it for, and that makes the physical pain lessen.
You're here in college, and this is your second year. Tell us about a time where your faith has really been tested here at UCM.
My freshman year, definitely, just the first semester. I didn't really know anybody yet, getting to know people, and I didn't really have that community of believers with me at that point. And so just being kind of alone, I guess, is when I was really tested. It's important to have those believers around you. And so when I was alone, it was easier to consider temptations or things that might be called sin. But I got past that, and so.
And it kind of rolls into our next question here. Obviously you are involved here with FCA here at UCM. Talk about how you became involved.
I was involved in FCA in high school, and so that's how I knew about it. And then my freshman year, we had study hall as mandatory, and so I didn't really get to go to FCA, but I knew I wanted to because I heard we had it here. And so the next semester I started going and just rolled on from there.
Talk about what is the greatest strength that you find through your relationship with Christ.
I would say peace, and just knowing that what I do here, it affects my eternity, but ultimately, the ultimate goal is eternity. And so, the trials and tribulations I experience on earth aren't going to matter once I get to heaven. So
now, and I noticed you have a purity ring
yes.
on, and kind of talk about, why did you decide to wear it, and really, kind of talking about, I know it, goes along with everything with Christ, but, why is it important to you to wear that?
Well, on it has the verse 1 Timothy 4:12, and that talks about being an example in our faith and in our purity, even though we're young. And so I think as young men, it's really easy to fall into lust and earthly desires, but it's just kind of a reminder to me that I'm on earth for a greater cause and for God, and He calls us to purity, and so that's just something I want to live out.
Now, and obviously mentioned a little bit about your parents and how their impact on your spiritual life was really one that has helped you through your time. Are there any other people that you can think of that have really helped you with your spiritual life?
I had a lot of people in high school that just older members of my church that really mentored me and kind of were there for me. My youth leader in high school was an awesome woman. Her son was one of my best friends in middle school, and then he actually passed away before high school. So she was always there, and she's kind of like almost like a second mother in a way, because she had lost her son, and so she really like reached out to his group of friends and just became a really awesome spiritual leader for us.
Do you still keep in contact with her today?
Yeah, not as often as I like, but I do still. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And kind of just wrapping up the faith side of things here. Obviously, you have the Bible in front, so go ahead and tell us what your favorite verse is, and read it to us out loud, and then kind of give us your reasoning behind why it is your favorite verse and what it means to you.
Okay. My favorite verse is Ecclesiastes 12:13. And it says, "When all has been heard, the conclusion of this matter is fear God and obey his commands, because this is for all humanity." And so this was written by King Solomon, and it just, the reason it's my favorite verse is the context of it, because King Solomon had everything, every earthly desire you can imagine: wealth, women, infinite wisdom. He had everything. But in Ecclesiastes, he just talks about how none of it means anything in reality, and so his conclusion is to fear God and keep his commands. And so that just stands out to me, like that's like the whole purpose of our beliefs, and as Christians, like that's the whole purpose of what we're on earth for.
And it certainly seems like you're keeping his values alive with the ring on your finger, and it really does mean a lot to you.
Yeah, oh yeah, it definitely
absolutely. All right, well, that is this first segment with Jordan McFarlen here. Come back after the break, and we'll talk more about the place kicker here for the Mules as you're watching this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule, presented by Taylor Industries. We'll be right back after this.
What if television could take us back in time, into the mind of a president?
This is our summons to greatness.
And into the soul of a rebel.
I still got the world!
What if we could know how it feels to shoot for the stars, to witness the terrors of combat, and know the heartache of those left at home? And why can't TV remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life, now and for generations to come.
I choose to be a champion.
I choose to be inspired.
I choose the perfect fit.
I choose Red to experience learning to a greater degree.
Choose Red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Live with a human for a while and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she's actually not a morning person. I know she does strange tricks for no treats. I know that water makes her howl like crazy. I even know how the floor stays so clean. She's quick. But the one thing I will never for the life of me know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
Welcome to Taylor Tidbits here, presented by Taylor Industries. I'm sitting alongside here with founder and CEO of Taylor Industries, Mike Ballard. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, good to be here.
Absolutely, and go ahead and just tell us a little bit about what Taylor Industries is and what kind of services and products you provide.
Taylor Industries is a manufacturer of medical products. Our main thing that we do here in this facility is ECG electrodes, which are used to monitor your heartbeat. If you're ever in a hospital, or say they do a stress test on you on a treadmill, they're going to have them on you to monitor your heart. We also manufacture TENS electrodes for nerve stimulating. and we custom build machinery to do different things.
So finally here, with talking about Taylor, we've got, a high quality product here where, you're able to not only produce a lot of electrodes, but you're also able to give it that customer's customization where it's in their name, correct?
Right. The machines we use for packaging, we have thermal transfer printers on them. Well, we can download from the computer whatever we want to print directly on that pouch material. The very first machine I did on that, the printers are actually designed to print continuous feed labels. Well, the first one that was brought and demoed to me, I talk sometimes out loud and I say, well, if I remove this and I cut a hole in the cabinet here and I take this photoelectric eye out, and the guy who's looking at me going, what are you going to do to our printer? I said, we'll come back in 2 months and I'll show you what I'm going to do to it. So basically we're feeding a roll stock through it, but we're telling it when to put the print head down and when to print. So it gives us the ability to private label for our customers. 99% of what leaves this building is private labeled. So it will not have Taylor's name on it. So a lot of people don't even know about Taylor Industries. They know about my customers, but they don't know about us, and that's fine. So
At the end of the day, when you go back home and you're able to have such a good product like this, it's got to make you feel really good, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. If we were making a substandard product, I wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. And my kids will be the first to tell you, I'll fall asleep in my recliner every night, almost watching television, because I get home and I just relax, and so, because the way I was raised, if I didn't make the best product we could make, I would have a hard time. And that has cost me a lot of business through the years, because I will not come down on our quality. I want to make the highest quality product we can possibly make with the highest quality raw materials that are available to us. And that's changed through the years. The quality of our raw materials, a lot of them have gone up. And so we can make even a higher quality than we did, say, 10 years ago. So, and that comes with working with your vendors and coming up with things, and so.
This is Mike Bauer, the founder and CEO of Taylor Industries. This has been Taylor Tidbits.
I choose excitement.
I choose to make a difference.
I choose uncommon opportunities.
I choose red to experience learning to a greater degree.
Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
What if television could remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
Hi, I'm Jason Ketz, and thanks for watching this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at theheartofthemule@gmail.com. Welcome back to this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. As now we are joined here by Mule's place kicker, number 69, Jordan McFarlen. Jordan, again, thank you for joining us. Appreciate your time. And let's go ahead and start with the high school days. You're originally from Bolivar, Missouri, so down there by MIAA Foe, Southwest Baptist. Talking about growing up, how important was sports in your life?
It was very important. I've lived in Bolivar my whole life, and so I started playing soccer. That was my first sport when I was about 4 or 5, and I started in the Y, and then eventually, a couple years into that, my parents took me up to Springfield to play in the rec leagues, and then eventually I started playing club soccer. And so I grew up, soccer was my main sport. I played for 10 years total, but I also played basketball through the YMCA. And so it's always been a big part of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And really there's a lot of, turnover as far as there's so many soccer players that end up becoming place kickers in football. And I know your freshman year of high school, you really kind of played a lot of different sports, didn't you?
Yeah, my freshman year, I started both varsity soccer and football in the fall semester, and which was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And then went on and played basketball for the freshman team during the winter, and then in the spring I played tennis. So.
And how much of a balancing act was that? I mean, especially not only in the fall doing the two-sport thing, which I can only imagine that was a lot on your plate, but going through and being like, as soon as you're done with one season, well, you're done with that one. But no, you got to pick up and go right into another.
Yeah, it was tough. In the fall I would go straight from soccer practice over to football and kick with the team, and then our football would usually run into basketball season, so the football players that played basketball would show up late, but we'd have to get into it and start our running and everything, and that was tough. And then going straight into tennis after that kept me pretty busy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it seemed like it was around your sophomore year was when you finally sort of kind of decided, what sports you really wanted to do, and kind of talk about that process and what ultimately led you to choose football.
I played all 4 sports my sophomore year too, I didn't play basketball my sophomore year because I figured I needed some time off as it was getting pretty grueling. And then my junior year, I decided to leave soccer after playing for 10 years and just to focus on football because I figured I had a better chance of getting into college to play football than I did with soccer. And so ultimately, that led me to stick with football. And then I still played tennis up until my senior year because it was in the spring, so it didn't really impact football so much.
What was the reaction of some of the people around you when you decided to, obviously with soccer being kind of that main sport in your life, making that decision to ultimately switch over to football?
They were surprised. I got a lot of questions about it. I was seen as a soccer player that played football. And so when I quit soccer, a lot of my soccer teammates were upset at first, kind of disappointed, but eventually they got over it and they understood why I was doing it. So then I just became, a football player after that. So.
And obviously, I was a former high school football player myself, and I always ask, the football players this question on this show, and that is, what's it like playing under the lights?
It's amazing. Friday Night Lights is definitely a real thing for high school. I absolutely loved it. And same with college. In college, you play on Saturdays typically, and usually in the afternoon, so you don't get that light effect. But we do have those games on Thursday nights or sometimes on Saturday nights, and it just kind of brings back the memories of high school, and it's just, it's amazing.
Absolutely, and kind of wrapping up with your your high school career and kind of deciding where you wanted to go to pursue with colleges, what ultimately led you to come here to UCM?
I had offers other places, but I like the winning tradition that it's not really a tradition, I guess, but the recent winning years with Mule's football, and it was far enough from home, but not too far to where it was uncomfortable, I guess. And it just felt right. It just felt right.
And coming in that freshman year, and obviously this is just your sophomore season. You're a redshirt freshman, and coming in and redshirting, last season, what was the biggest difference that going from high school football to in the college level?
It's a world of difference. They're not even the same sport, honestly. Right when you get into football your freshman year, you go through redshirt lifts, and I've never done anything like it, physically training. But then it's kind of tough at first. But then once you get to experience the games, the college games, it's definitely worth it. And the fan base and everything it's much more intense than high school, but it's worth it for sure.
And certainly last year, the team was, the team went 9-3 overall, making it to that Texarkana Bowl game and winning that. And coming off of that win, what was the big thing that the team was preaching coming into this past year?
Just to keep it up, to keep rolling with it and doing what we're doing, and just working hard in the off season, training hard in the weight room, and then for running and stuff, and just to do stuff on your own time also, and being at summer workouts, just key in doing that off season work to have a good season the next year.
And not only were you involved with the team success with the 9-3 season, but individually you were an academic All-American, and you mentioned it earlier that you were actually a biology major during this time. Sciences to me are just I can't do them. But going through that rigorous schedule of classes, and then on top of that with football, that must have been a real good accomplishment for you.
Yeah, I was really happy with that at the end of the year. It's tough. It takes a lot of extra effort to balance the sports side along with the academic side. You're definitely a student athlete, but you're a student first because it just takes a lot of time and effort to get there, and I'm glad it paid off because it was worth it.
And then this past season with football, 8-3 season that. It had its real ups and its real downs at some point, just like any football season. We're a couple months out of it now. Looking back, were there a lot of building blocks that this team can build on for the future? Definitely.
I think we made great strides, even though we had 9 wins the previous season and we only had 8 this season. We made a lot of strides as a team. We set goals that we definitely fulfilled a lot of. Beating Pitt. Our game with Northwest was, a good game despite the circumstances or how it ended. And so we just we came together as a team to, our bond continues to get stronger, and I think that's really important.
And you talked a little bit about those goals and those team goals, and obviously, with the team there are goals, but individually there's also goals as well that wrap themselves into the team. What are some of those individual goals that you have for yourself as you continue your career here?
I want to start. I want to see the field, because that's where I want to go first. And then from then on, I just want to play out and see what God has in store for me. And also in the smaller things with PRing in the weight room and stuff, that's our strength coach preaches that. And it's important to me too, just to see those results from all the hard work I've been putting in. So,
absolutely. And obviously we're I know some of those football coaches pretty well, and Kyle Westfall is the special teams coordinator. Talk about the kind of expertise that he brings to the special teams game.
He's got a lot of experience, and that really helps a lot. He's really he's a positive guy, and that helps too. He's really the positivity. Like when we don't get to see much of him, I guess, being kickers, but when he will come with us and give us advice and pointers and stuff, and that's just really it helps a lot with the moral level, I guess.
Yeah, moral psyche of a kicker.
Yeah,
absolutely. And just wrapping up finally here, obviously, you're a Division II athlete, and you come here because you want to continue your football career, but you ultimately know that it's especially getting to the next level is it's probably not priority number one. With your PR major, you're just switching over. Where do you see Jordan McFarlen 10 to 15 years down the road?
The current, the job title that stands out to me right now is a creative director. I'd love to be a creative director for, not-for-profit or just a Christian organization would be my ultimate goal, I think. But it just it's in God's hands, and we'll see where it goes. I know that, I know football probably isn't a future, or in my future after college, but I'm okay with that because I know God has a plan for me, and I know that I'm going to live that out. So
absolutely, and Jordan, best of luck to you in the future, and we'll see how that football team does next year.
Thank you.
All right, absolutely, and again, Thank you to Jordan McFarlen for joining us for this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule, presented by Taylor Industries. I'm your host, Jason Ketz. We'll see you back here next week. Hi, I'm Jason Ketz, and thanks for watching this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule, presented by Taylor Industries. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at theheartofthemule@gmail.com.